The disappearance and extinction of a civilization or an era. It has happened many times in the past. Take dinosaurs. They ruled the Earth for millions of years. Species diversity has reached unprecedented levels. But about 66 million years ago, these ancient creatures went extinct. The reason for this is likely to be an asteroid impact. And moving forward, cause the disappearance of the vast majority of biological species. Plant species are extinct. What's the probability of humans disappearing? University of Oxford focused on studying the possibility of human extinction and other global disaster risks. 2020. Tabio, a senior researcher at the Institute, in his book Microbuds, Subjective Probability Estimation of Risk, he estimated the future of nuclear war. The extinction risk of a natural epidemic is less than 1 in 10,000. Artificial epidemic. Artificial intelligence out of control, extinction risk is 1 in 10. Volcanic eruption. The overall probability of extinction is 1 in 6. But here's the thing, just Tabio's own subjective probability estimate, rather than based on mathematical models confirming results from empirical data. This is based on his extensive literature, expert interviews, and the extinction risk from an asteroid impact is less than 1 in 10,000. Days is subjective for whatever reason. Suppose that humans did one day suddenly disappear or extinct. These data, many science fiction movies have depicted this. Scientists have also asked similar questions, but they are not based on their own fantasies. It's based on computation and model reasoning. So now, we can assume that. What did the first day of human disappearance look like? After all, it's only the first day. So what will the Earth look like? No fundamental changes have taken place on the Earth. But the night on Earth will get darker. Most power plants that use fossil fuels will run out of fuel and stop running. The result will be global power outages. Of course, there are many exceptions. Areas that rely on hydropower and solar power will continue to be illuminated. Some important buildings such as the United Nations headquarters, its emergency lighting will still work for a while. However, related equipment, it will all shut down after a day at most. Blackout in 3 days will have a catastrophic impact on some artworks. The first to be affected, it's a wax that's found in hot climates, like a museum. Blessings without air conditioning. The exhibits rapidly melt into shapeless piles of wax. At the same time, the favelas of Brazil and Mexico, possibly due to a natural gas leak, start a fire. It can also be the trigger for a fire. Aging power transformer short circuit. In addition, it may also be invisible to this catastrophe. Fuel the fire. Residential areas around the world. The brewery will experience long power outages, may cause pressure to spiral out of control in a brewing keg. Cause an explosion. Explosion at the same time, cause short circuits and fires. As time goes by, plus some seemingly insignificant small accidents, the number of disasters will continue to increase. There's a lot of sugar dust in the air. Due to a malfunction, the wastewater treatment facility will be shut down, causing pollution of rivers and lakes. About 2 weeks later, scarier things will happen at nuclear power plants. Nuclear power plant cooling system shutdown will cause similar mentoring and the Chernobyl explosion and nuclear leak. Large areas are contaminated with radiation. It will take decades for the nearby ecology to gradually recover. But radiation, it has had a deadly impact on local animal populations. After humans disappeared, some animals will begin to change rapidly within a few days. Due to lack of food, life will go extinct rapidly, completely dependent on human delivery. Cockroaches may not be able to adapt to wild environments. Close behind. Pets can initially drink water from melted cloves or eat flavored cleaned food. Then they had to leave their homes or starve to death. If pet cats and dogs cannot adapt to life in the wild, will die quickly due to natural enemies or starvation. Without humans, empty buildings are occupied by wild animals, like a raccoon, wolf, foxes, etc., and some wooden houses, due to moisture and rot, will attract a large number of termites and ants. There, affiliated and other usually shy carnivores will begin to settle in the suburbs. A year after humans disappeared, The world will become a greener place. Farmland will grow a lot of vegetation. Soon it will grow into a dense forest. In the city, plants will be removed from the road and growing through cracks in buildings. The blowfish will grow at a crazy rate of 0.5 meter a day. Rapid coverage of Atlanta, etc. The suburbs of a climate-friendly city create a natural green carpet. Despite these disasters and changes, but a few years after humans disappeared, the Earth still looks like one, although a little shabby, but still recognizable human world. Decades later, satellites start falling from the sky. Since the control center cannot maintain its operating speed, they will slowly approach the Earth. Final impact site. The surface of the International Space Station will also be unmanned. Adjust the track and gradually fall until it disintegrates. With his crash, digital samples of human DNA will also disappear. Cities on Earth that rely on artificial drainage systems, no London or Amsterdam, will gradually be submerged. Other cities will be grasped within 5 to 15 years. Trees and vines cover. From space, it looks like a green carpet. All roads in the world, the square and sidewalks will be covered with plants. Plants will enter the building through cracks, but it cannot destroy masonry and stone houses. At the same time, many wooden buildings will be burned down, rotten, or destroyed by termites. During this time period, only granite buildings are almost insect-free, affected by mold and decay processes. 30 to 50 years later, most of the plants in human homes will be destroyed by time. Damage. Electrical appliances are quickly scrapped due to dust and rust. Clothes and shoes can rot. Photos and banknotes can be eroded by microbes. Most cars will be turned into scrap metal, but tires last hundreds of years longer than metal. At the end of the 1st century after the disappearance of humanity, the roofs of almost all buildings and steel buildings will collapse due to corrosion. Industrial storage tanks containing toxic substances such as chlorine will crack and collapse. The wind will blow toxic clouds all over the world, pollute everything along the way. Chlorine enters the water. It also reacts chemically with water, hydrochloric acid, and hypochlorous acid. This will threaten the survival of many aquatic organisms. The chaos and destruction of the Earth at this time. It will result in the disappearance of many architectural and artistic masterpieces. The gardens of Versailles will be overgrown with plants. The roof of silence will collapse. Many unique mirrors will fall due to erosion. Shattered Leonardo da Vinci's frescoes. The Last Supper will also peel off from the humidity. And another masterpiece, the Mona Lisa. Although it is made of special bulletproof glass, coverage is bulletproof, but it doesn't protect the transformation. Protection from prolonged moisture. In 100 years, it will be completely eaten by the worm. But scientists believe in an alternative scenario. According to their speculations and ecological simulations, the Earth at that time, perhaps it will become a kingdom of snakes. Rats that have lost their predators and city control. Small mammals like squirrels will multiply like crazy, and snakes are the main species of these animals. Predator of food. It will also be supported by abundant food resources. Rapidly expanding population. Not only will the number skyrocket, the size of snakes may also change over time. Substantial increase. Driven by evolution, they will adapt to a diverse living environment. There may even be unprecedented giant snake species. Dominate the forest, plains and even ruins. 200 to 300 years after the disappearance of humans, hardly anything can be seen on Earth. A complete building, even the wreckage of skyscrapers, will collapse into a pile of ruins. Wet, corrosion and a lot of dust accumulation will accelerate this process. However, even so, there will still be some remnants of the Earth. Remains of memories of human civilization. St. Basil's Cathedral in Moscow. Maybe it will be the last one. Preserved religious buildings. The roof of the White House in Washington may have collapsed, but the main structure is still standing for the time being, and located in some underground secret rooms or buildings, almost unaffected. Surprisingly, there is a fruit cake with packaging. It may be possible to maintain during this time period. Some experts believe that these pastries are coated with alcohol, maybe keep the look and taste, but 500 to 800 years later, they will also be weathered by time. The erosion of time is relentless. Even the strongest concrete buildings, there is no escape from the fate of destruction. Concrete interior. of steel bars will swell with moisture and rust stone, ultimately leading to structural damage, and cities built on swamps like Washington, St. Petersburg, Amsterdam, London and so on will eventually be flooded. At the same time, those used to storage of modern information on the achievements of human civilization. The body is also doomed to fail in the long years, lasts too long, like CD film, paper and other media that carry knowledge and memory. Eventually, in the wind of time, turn to dust under the erosion of nature. Deep underground in Pennsylvania, USA, there is the image archive named after Torbertman. It contains approximately 20 million photos, the most precious records in human history. The most exciting moment, these photos, is kept in a constant -20 degrees Celsius environment. It is the best storage conditions currently achievable. However, even under these conditions, 300 years later, these photos, it will also begin to be damaged and rotten due to the action of microorganisms. After 500 years of rotten, all photos will almost completely disappear from the world. Maybe only the foresees scrolls. It can be protected in a dry environment. It lasts longer. But even the pinnacle of art can't escape the invasion of time. The ceiling frescoes of the Sistine Chapel, under the combined action of time and oxygen, gradually fade. Darken. The color in the paint will not be what it used to be. Then the dome Giannian structure aged and cracked, and then the whole church came crashing down. The glory of the past turns to dust. As time goes by, collapsed skyscrapers and other high-rise buildings will be in the landscape. New hills are formed, but there are still some structures made of large blocks of stone. It was well preserved. The pyramids in Egypt, for example, the Great Wall of our country, Taiji Mausoleum in India, and other medieval stone castles and other buildings. These will be made of strong materials. Structural stability can retain contours in millennia of wind and rain. But 1,000 years later, the most shocking thing may not be the ruins or sunken cities. It's a strange rebirth of life somewhere. Scientists predict a new Los Angeles in the future. He will become the kingdom of elephants, in a warm and pleasant climate. These, once imprisoned in a city zoo, escape the shackles of the fence, gradually adapt to survival in the wild, finally thriving on the ruins of the city, rebuilding their elephant society. Then the forest covered the ruins again. Meadows spread out between bodies of water and mountains. There are not many traces of human civilization left. Thousands of years later, evidence that humans once dominated the earth. In the end, there may be only a few stone buildings left, like the pyramids of Giza and the Sphinx, but they may well have been destroyed by the sand of the desert, almost completely buried. And the Great Wall of China, perhaps it will continue in the form of fragments between the mountains. If you go deep underwater. Another interesting finding, when the Gulfo Dam collapsed over time. American Federation. Large amounts of gold at the reserve bank will sink to a depth of about 140 meters. Due to its chemical stability and physical compatibility. These gold nuggets can be found in the absence of oxygen, maintain original state in low-temperature environment. Not only can it be preserved for thousands of years, it may even remain unchanged for millions of years. Non-corrosive. After millions of years of human disappearance, the Earth at this time, hardly any more intuitive traces of modern civilization, or just by searching carefully to find some petrified building ruins. But it's more likely that plate motion is buried only in certain geological formations. Be carefully identify. However, deep underground, there may still be some small but solid clues left. Some pottery with a metal coating, porcelain microprocessor, shards, these miniature technological relics, although it has long since lost its original appearance. But from their structure, human civilization can still be inferred. The technological heights reached. In addition, there may also be a small amount of glass fragments in the formation, the remains of plastic bottles and various packaging bags. But even these remnants, it may also be degraded by time. Millions of years later, polyethylene. The olefins are purified of bacteria that have the ability to decompose as food. By then, the only proof, traces of human civilization, perhaps only the bones of human fossils remain, and ceramic relics left on the ground. and radioactive isotopes from nuclear industrial sites. The half-lives of these elements are measured in billions of years, is an eternal trace that rarely resists the erosion of time. In addition, deep mines that humans have dug may not be affected by plate movement. As long as the Earth exists, mines may remain. Intelligent life of the future, maybe through seismic detection equipment and geological radar found them. But these mines may be used as nests by some creatures. But that's just a guess for now. However, most experts agree that future Earth creatures would be radically different from modern life. Think about the Earth 66 million years ago, when dinosaurs ruled the world. Dragonflies are as big as birds, and now common reptiles, like lizards, the largest at the time, could grow up to 3 meters in length, become a predator ferocious enough to hunt down dinosaurs. They rip their prey with their knife-sharp teeth. It only takes an instant to complete a deadly hunt. Some researchers believe that future creatures will be more powerful than prehistoric creatures. Away from modern times, morphological geologist, paleontologist, and author Dougal Dixon, in 1981, a book entitled Popular Science Books After Humans. His content is set in Earth 50 million years after human extinction. It depicts the Earth 50 million years from now scenario of ecosystems. In his vision, 50 million years after humans disappeared, continuous changes in the Earth's crust reshaped the face of the world. The merger of Europe and Africa. The Mediterranean disappears completely, and parts of East Africa separate into new islands. At the same time, Central Australia collides with the South Asian continent, breeding new mountain systems. The Earth seems back again. Ancient moments in the rise of the supercontinent. Dixon vision. The Earth at that time. It's no longer the mammals that dominate the ecological niche. It was dominated by temperate animals and reptiles. Many modern small creatures will evolve into a giant monster. Here it is. Imagine 50 million years after human extinction. Earth evolves new forms of life. For example, in the desert there is a giant tortoise. It is a reptile weighing 150 tons, heavier than the largest dinosaur, larger than the African elephant. It wanders through the desert, hit with scissors, will swallow a lot of vegetation with a powerful core. Due to its large size, and rhombus armor as hard as armor, keep all natural enemies away. After nightfall, the sand in the desert wriggles. Giant snails emerge from the sand. Dixon called it a desert bunker. They have hard shells, with a toothed breath like a drill, capable of grinding the most stubborn desert vegetation. And carnivores. More terrifying weapons will evolve. For example, the now seemingly harmless large black bat will become a monster known as the Reaper of Death. This is a bat creature that can stretch up to 1.3 meters. He hunts during the day, with its powerful and immense teeth. When they find prey, they smash it like a stone, after piercing the long claws into the body and burying them in the sand. Instantly bite the spine of the prey. There is a 4-meter-long seclusion in the ocean. Spiritfish. The whole body is covered with scales like old bark. It is like a dead branch and a broken eye with a bone spur protruding from the back. Can lurk motionless in water for days, waiting for prey to appear. And here's what's even more amazing. Its sides, lined with hundreds of specialized electrical cells, muscle mass, can instantly release more than 1,000 volts. It's twice as strong as a modern barbarian motor, enough to electrocute any creature except a megastarter. After the prey is paralyzed, ghostfish use serrated teeth to bite their flesh, then dive into the deep sea for a delicious meal. And another 25-meter-long rainbow squid is even bigger, more fierce. He is not only huge, he was also a visual illusionist. When hunting, he uses highly purified pigment cells. It creates these dazzling lights, attracted large disadvantaged fish, mistaken for a school of small fish, approaching. And I fell into a trap. Wait for the prey to approach. They will use powerful suction cups and razor-like teeth to shred it. In Dixon's vision, the most terrifying thing is called the plague, jumping parasite. It grows to be the size of a pigeon. To reproduce, they will actively seek rotting fish as a sacrifice. After possession, his bulging belly will be ready in a few hours. Self-rupture. Out of it crawls a group of larvae called darkness forms. The flesh carries disc-shaped cutting organs, quickly burrow into the fish, devouring the host from the inside out. In the depiction, after humans, modern lion, large mammals like tigers and bears have all but disappeared because of their claws and fangs. No match. Complex hunting methods for insects and mollusks. Certainly, will these monsters really rule the Earth? Still unknown. After all, Earth could evolve in any direction. Maybe after there are no humans, the ball will be taken over by other intelligent beings. For example, class personnel. In the science fiction film Crew Planet, after the protagonist Ulyss returns to Earth, frightening discovery. Wisdom Gardens have become the rulers of the Earth. This is fiction. But scientists believe that if humans disappear, the person most likely to take over the Earth is the spirit. Long animals, all primates with thumbs, all have this advantage, because the thumb can grasp and operate tools. This is what humans once did. Key elements of creating and using tools. You can imagine. If you don't hold chopsticks with your thumb, you will understand its importance. Take chimpanzees. They're the closest thing to us. It is one of the most promising species for the development of civilization. They don't just have thumbs, smart enough and social enough. Chimpanzees have a primitive language. They communicate with each other through calls and gestures. And they're trained to use tools, such as hammers and wrenches. Wild chimpanzee original long hair is also made and used. They're actually very diverse. Recipes vary. Chimpanzees even go to war with their neighbors and coordinate actions. No humans. Chimpanzees will use tools more frequently and pass on the knowledge to future generations. They might learn to make fire. And they found that the fallen seeds would germinate and try to save the seeds and clear the land for planting. Number 1. Chimpanzees trying to plant seeds with soil. Farmer. Crops will be harvested soon. There's also a division of labor within the population. Someone makes tools. Hunted. Someone is doing other work. Even some crops or prey start exchanging between groups. So trade started. Chimpanzee calls and gestures gradually develop, incorporating new concepts, eventually form a real language and continue to complicate, until one day, a chimpanzee might accidentally use a branch to draw graphics on the ground. After discovering the font, and you continue to deliberately draw the trees around you with your branches, and thus art and writing systems were born. You don't have to go through the whole process. Apparently the development path of a black-hearted civilization will resemble humans. The New World rulers will domesticate animals as food and companions. The government, setting legal and ethical standards, wage war. Developing science is also a necessary path. Millions or tens of thousands of years from now, intelligent chimpanzee, a global satellite network may have been established, and space communications, once again embarking on a journey with humans, a similar civilization. In the endless years after the disappearance of humanity, maybe one day, an advanced civilization deep in the universe will encounter the remains of human civilization. The wreckage of the probe satellite floats in space. These ruins can tell the story of the human past. It can also be a source of life for other planets. For example, the Saturn mission ended in 2017. The Cassini probe crashed into Saturn's atmosphere. Its wreckage, perhaps falling onto something like Enceladus, the bacteria on it may colonize the new environment. When they multiply and the satellite crash, partially radiation-resistant ceramics, artifacts such as microprocessors, it may also fall to other planets. If these planets, there are intelligent creatures that are not so intelligent, then the structure of the microprocessor, they can reverse engineer it and copy it. Session will accelerate their technological and cultural progress. According to scientists, about 40,000 years later, Voyager 1 probe will be light years away from Earth. Gliese 445 of Rovestorm. Also 40,000 years later, Voyager 2. It will be close to 10.3 light years from Earth. Red Dwarf Rasta 48. Then the two lonely probes. Its outer shell will have long been saturated with the dust of the universe, despite the impact of their gold-plated aluminum shells. With aluminum layer and copper machine protection structure, but on a long journey. Detector housing surface, a golden chapter that records human information, will be covered with dents and scratches. At that time, these traces It may enable future intelligent life. It is difficult to interpret the information on its surface, but as long as there is no devastating disaster, these detectors will continue to voyage silently between the stars, although the distances between star systems are vast. Voyager encounter. The chances of being captured are slim to none. But on the galactic scale of time, about 500 million years later, the Solar System and Voyager will complete a galactic revolution. It's an incredibly long time, equivalent to the formation of the Pangaea supercontinent to the breakup into time in Lauria and Gondwana. That the probe can really be in the interstellar universe. Did you keep it for so long? Scientists believe that. It depends on the amount of dust in the galaxy. Dust travels at 5 kilometers per second. Even the slightest particle hits the detector shell will leave microscopic dents. Scientists at the Kabutan Institute for Astronomy in the Netherlands, it simulated the Voyager probe several times, possible dust encounters on future interstellar journeys, collision and structural damage. It turned out that the fine disk on the detector and its crystal plating, the aluminum protective cover, is the most durable part. Although the detector used 2 or 3/8 nuclear batteries, it has a half-life of 87.7 years. Eventually power will be cut off. That the trace amount deposited on the record is 238, can be up to decay over billions of years. In time, it will help other civilizations calculate the age of this human artifact. However, when the Milky Way galaxy, and billions of years later, the Andromeda galaxy, in the event of a collision, the spiral structure of both galaxies will be severely disturbed. The chaos may even disintegrate completely. Voyager probe. It may then be thrown into a completely new galactic environment. Right there, he will face more intense cosmic ray bombardment and erosion from hot gas molecules. These will become the main threat to gold-plated aluminum sheets. If he happens to be stranded in the interior region of the merged galaxy, its fate will depend on whether it passes through the dust cloud, enter a high-density dust field, patterns that may accelerate its surface structure, and once the galaxy stops forming stars, the dust will gradually decrease. The probe may be able to, in the silent darkness of the universe, drifting alone for trillions of years. It will no longer be an aircraft. It's about civilization, the final testimony left in the universe. Until the end of the universe itself, it's all just human. A hypothetical scenario after suddenly disappearing from the Earth. This imaginary journey across time and space. Not only did we experience the stunning power of nature and the infinite possibilities of biological evolution, it also makes us realize that, even without humans, the Earth is still full of life and wonders. In the vast history of the Earth, humans are just passing through, but it can determine its own survival. Biological evolution will continue without humans. Species change according to natural selection and environmental changes. Better adaptation and development. Humans, on the other hand, cannot live without harmony with nature. While there's still a chance, we should build a future based on ecological harmony and sustainable development. Let future generations appreciate the unique beauty of the Earth.